I highly recommend that speech to anyone, and then your Substack I think is awesome as well, and it's just the importance of your choice and realizing how much power that you do have in creating your own reality. And it can feel like everything is going wrong, and I think oftentimes we get in that loop, and it's kind of like it might sound a little bit woo-woo or mystical, but it's almost like this energetic space that you can't get out of. And that's why, like, they say bad news comes in threes, and everything it rains, it pours, and it's because you can't get out of that vibration. So it's like you can choose to look at this as it's happening for me instead of to me, and then just like watch how your luck changes.
We should tell the listeners that the speech you're talking about is David Foster Wallace. He gave a commencement speech and is now known on YouTube as This Is Water, because there is a
Mhm.
beautiful artistic, it's set to music and they have actors. So Foster Wallace is narrating the speech, but he's not standing up there like you're at graduation. They have a backdrop and it's condensed. And in the speech, he's making a point for the students or the graduates, which is the only thing they really get to choose as a result of their education is what meaning is to them. That is, they get to choose what things mean. They don't get to choose what happens.
Mhm.
And you say sometimes, some people say, well, you get to choose your reaction. There's some truth in that. And yet we are also wired by evolutionary biology, by our trauma, by whatever our experiences are, to have certain feelings, to have certain thoughts. They're involuntary, but we get to choose what it means. So one thing that it could mean is that we're irreparably broken. We are unlovable as human beings, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. And we all carry around that meaning is accessible to us. But another way of making meaning is to say, because of things that have happened to me that were out of my control, maybe I was young or maybe I was overwhelmed or whatever it is, but because of things that have happened to me, I experience certain thoughts and feelings and I struggle with those. Totally different meaning. So David Foster Wallace is trying to say, congratulations, graduates, you're all educated now, and it doesn't mean anything except you are now aware of your own thinking and you're capable of choosing your own meaning. And I used to show that in class for my engineering business practices students, and lots of people see lots of different things in the speech. I think it depends upon at what developmental stage they are, what problems are they working with now, because there's so many offerings that people can see. So we talk through a lot of those. And then I ask, does it make a difference to you how you interpret his advice when you now know, I'm going to tell you that David Foster Wallace took his own life? And many of the students become kind of defensive. They're like, well, we can't take this man's advice. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Like his advice must be bad because he suffered from
Mhm.
depression that culminated in suicide. But then we look at it
Mhm.
again and we say, when he's making these appeals to empathy, it sounds like he's talking about an appeal for a third party. The woman with her child at the grocery store whose child is screaming and having a tantrum. Is there a way to empathize with her so it doesn't wreck your own life? Or the person who cuts you off at the highway, is there a way to empathize with them? It's very third person. But once you
Mhm.
know what his own struggle with and the way that he resolved it, you see that it's really an appeal for people to understand him. It's like, is there anyone
Mm.
out there who will empathize with me? And he
Yeah.
becomes, I'm not saying an admirable character. People who judge him for checking out are entitled to their own opinion, but more sympathetic. He was going through some tough stuff. And so
Mhm.
this is water. You don't know what it's like to be outside the fishbowl until you've jumped out. All the little goldfish, the young ones, then they're swimming around and they're swimming around. They don't know what water is because they never
Mhm.
jumped out of the fishbowl and flapped around on the floor and then said, oh, this is air. Just waiting for some little kid to scoop them up before they suffocate and put them back in the fishbowl and go, whoa, this is water. Sometimes you can only perceive because you have the benefit of contrast. Not all of our experiences, even the traumatic ones, like flopping around, on the floor, suffocating, um, they give us contrast, benefit of experience. Yeah.
No, it's I love I think there is kind of like a almost like a dark beauty to how things turned out for him. Obviously, I wish that he had found love and resources and like that wasn't the end, but I do think that when you are experiencing like that amount of pain and depression, like you have to be in a very dark place to take your own life. So I think from that place it does make that stark difference. You can kind of see like the empathy and the beauty because it's something that you're craving or that you don't have. Because that is one of the top comments I saw in all the videos because there's a whole bunch of different iterations of that. And they're like, "Well, don't listen to
Yep.
that because he killed himself." I was like, "No, maybe do because he did." Right? Because he was hurting so much that he could actually see the more of the beauty and the light in the world that maybe someone else doesn't. Because I forget what I was reading, but it was almost saying, like, the worst place that you could be is, like, right in the middle. Like, you're not elated, you're not depressed, you're kinda just drifting and coasting because you become complacent. So it's not forcing you to really wake up or change anything or strive for better because everything's fine. So, like, that happy middle is actually, like, the worst place to be as far as development goes.
I'm not sure that's true. I can think of worse places, but I also think of it like this: I'm a teacher, and
Mhm,
my job is to accumulate experience, knowledge, and wisdom that I can pass on to my students, so they don't have to make the mistakes that I made. I
mhm,
once read, "It is the job of the artist to create experiences that other people can live vicariously through so they can
mm,
sort of have a safe experience through the vicarious like work of art without taking the risks that the artist has taken." So for you as an artist, I can see your argument. Oh, worst place to be is in the middle because nobody wants to watch an artist walking a tightrope that's sitting on the gym floor. You got to put that thing up over Niagara Falls. If there's no danger, then there's no level of interest. And it's the tightrope walker's job to create that
mm.
experience that people can identify with vicariously from a position of safety for themselves.